what really ended up happening is the same thing that happened at every other waitressing job I've ever had, where I go up to the table as a grown woman and people are treating me, they're infantilizing me, saying how cute I look and I look so young. I look too young to be doing this job. I look too young to be working. How old am I? Just like the invasive questions that have nothing to do with anything. Wow. First of all, I'm training. I'm already nervous to be on the floor, having people look at me while I'm standing up, they're sitting down. People swear, they're like, oh, looking young is such a blessing and you'll be happy when you're my age. But they don't want to acknowledge like how disruptive and disrespectful people get with you and how they just cross boundaries. Just because you look a certain way, they will cross every possible boundary you have and will not care. And ask you questions that they would never ask anybody else. Like, how much do you weigh? I can't go up to nobody and ask them, how much do you weigh? But do you know how many, and men and women, but especially older men, do you know how many older men have asked me, how much do I weigh? Because they think I'm a kid and they're pedophiles. And they're trying to like get one over on me. But anyway, so I start that job and it's the same vibe where I feel like I'm just being thrown out to the wolves. I'm just standing there uselessly. Everybody who knows what they're doing is bustling around me, and I'm just like watching the world from, I don't know, I'm just watching it from inside of a snow globe. So after it only took me again, and I was in a really desperate financial situation at this point. Like the credit cards were getting maxed out one by one, but I still was not feeling that. I don't know what the feeling is supposed to be. That drive, the motivation, the desperation to stick with the job and stick it out. I finally sat down after leaving that waitressing job, because you can think about this span of time, that was the most jobs I had left in one span of time. So I finally just sat down and I was like, what is going on here? This isn't normal. So what do you do when you have nobody to talk to because everybody wants to call you lazy? And another thing I want to mention is my family during this time. You might wonder, okay, what is my family thinking as their daughter, their sister is struggling to keep a job, right? On her own accord. Like, I wasn't getting fired, but I was quitting. Um, Unfortunately, and that's why I'm standing here today talking. Those birds are fighting. Why I'm standing here talking about all of this finally after all these years is because during this time period where I was getting harassed at work, treated poorly, I guess you could say discriminated against, not for color, but in my opinion, it was for personality traits I was being discriminated against because of. Um, yeah, I was the butt of the joke. I was the family butt of the joke. It was, oh, you started a new job. How long you gonna stay at this one? When you gonna quit this one? Every time I come home from work, like, you still at that job? You've been there for a week. You've been there for 2 weeks. You've been there for 3 days. You've been there for a month now, haven't you? We're not talking about me being 15 or 16 just having started work. We're talking about me being in my early 20s. That this is going on and on and on. Every single job. Oh, you quit again? I'm surprised you're still working. No, it wouldn't even, like, when I would quit, it would be nothing. It would be no questions. It would be no why, what happened, what went wrong, who did something to you, or what did you do. It was nothing like that. It was silence. It was so funny because then after I quit, they would be silent, like it was what they wanted in the first place. You know what I mean? So it was just funny to them. And now you can understand why after the diagnosis, these bugs are so spiking my anxiety. But you could kind of see how, like, after the diagnosis, um, when I look back on that particular thing, because that was what set the process into motion, was me being unable to keep a job and me knowing and feeling that something was wrong about this, but everyone around me was taking it as this humongous joke and playing it off like, oh, you just haven't found the right job. um just empty platitudes, like, oh, you just haven't found the right job for you yet. And oh, if I'm staying far away from the food, so I stop. Of course not, because I'm having food. That's crazy. But yeah, it was no support, no care. It was just always just brushing the situation off. So I had nobody to talk to except the internet. You can imagine that when I was about 20, I was 19 or 20, because I was with my ex at the time. And I remember specifically going through this process where I was looking up what what is it when you cannot keep a job, and it'll give you this whole list of, like, mental illnesses and all kinds of stuff that will cause you, like, not being able to keep employment is one of the that feels so nice, where not being able to keep employment is one of, like, the main symptoms. So guess what came up? It was two things that I had narrowed it down to, just like I said. I had been knowing something was wrong and feeling like something was off about me since I was 10 years old. So in that span of time, from 10 to 19 or 20, all I spent my time doing was, like, psychology, body language, relationships, human behavior, dreams, religion, all types of stuff, trying to find the answer to what it was, because it was bothering me. It was really all I could think about for so many years. 15 years. This was all I could think about. What is wrong with me? So I devoted all my free time to trying to figure out that answer. 15 years, I don't think you understand. Like, people say years and they feel like Other people hear years and they feel like people are exaggerating. I'm telling you, every waking moment of my life, I could not stop thinking about this for one day. It was bothering me. On top of that, stuff was happening that was making it more impertinent for me to find out as fast as possible what is going on. I'm talking like self-harm type stuff. So, anyway, what was I talking about? Um, I can't remember where I was going. So, I just think. Yeah, so then after I left the waitressing job, that's when I knew something was seriously wrong. Because that would have been like the 19th job. So that's when I said, okay, you need to stop trying to work because something